Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. This is a special episode. We got two dinosaurs to talk about, so let's get right to it. First dinosaur is, if I actually kind of pronounce this correctly, Coahuiaceratops. Coahuiaceratops, Greek for Coahuila horned face. Fossils found in North America. Late Cretaceous, 72 million years ago. About 22 feet long, probably weighed between 2 to 3 tons. Of course, it's a herbivore, and pretty much it's a ceratopsian. Now, the distinguishing features of Coahuiaceratops, excuse me, is its really long brow horns, and to me, it almost kind of looks. And to me, it's kind of like this really interesting feature. I'm pretty sure this feature is actually pretty significant to actually scare off predators. Basically, predators don't want to go near those horns. And that's kind of actually a very interesting trait for this. Most ceratopsians have very different headgear, basically. And most of them actually have that bony frill. And I think with Coahuiaceratops, there's holes in the frill, so pretty much there's going to be some skin covering it. And also the nose horn is very small, so it almost kind of looks like a chasmosaur, basically. It almost looks like a pretty big chasmosaur. And most chasmosaurs usually tend to have very small horns, but even they'll have this really big frill. Coahuiaceratops kind of almost actually defies that a little bit. It has really big horns and pretty much has like this medium-sized frill. Now, this would be a medium-sized ceratopsian. It wouldn't be actually very large. Considering that it's 22 feet long, it's not going to be very big. And I forget where the fossils are found. I think they were found in Utah or Colorado, somewhere around there. And otherwise, it could be from New Mexico or something like that, or like that. I don't even remember. Somebody give me a little help in the comments section below from this video. And pretty much, the predators would be actually attacking. It would pretty much be Tyrannosaurus, probably Daspletosaurus, maybe some Albertosaurs. Gorgosaurus would not actually be around at this time, so would not be down this far south, considering it's a far North American Tyrannosaur. Now, I'm pretty sure Teratophonius would actually be around at this time as well, considering that it's a very robust Tyrannosaur. There are many Tyrannosaurs in North America during this time, and there's pretty much many ceratopsians in North America at this time. Ceratopsians were actually very diverse in North America between 80 to 70 million years ago, because they're very, very diverse. After 70 million years, it started to decline. Same thing with the Tyrannosaurs. And so that really kind of puts in perspective of what's going on, and that's pretty much just because of the rise of the Rocky Mountains. And of course, this dinosaur actually probably, pretty much like all ceratopsians, probably ate low shrubs and pretty much rougher foliage to actually feed on. Basically, it would probably just be, it's because pretty much most of these dinosaurs are actually browsers. Basically, browsers don't eat grass. That's basically the thing, and grass was not really around in North America during this time. Now, if you actually look at the fossil record, grass was around during the time of the dinosaurs. First species of grass, but that was only in India. So, but even though India was isolated from the other continents, so that actually kind of puts perspective. Anyway, and of course there are probably dromaeosaurs that are around, like Dromaeosaurus. All those kinds of dinosaurs pretty much actually could have actually feasted on Coahuiaceratops. And of course, the extinction of Coahuiaceratops is basically changes in the environment and pretty much is that just could never adapt to the new changes, and so it just basically, and also pretty much the climate got warmer around 70 million years ago, and that's really what's kind of happening is that some of these dinosaurs just couldn't adapt to the warming climate. And now we're actually going to talk about this next dinosaur, very well-known dinosaur called Megalosaurus. And for some reason, and basically Megalosaurus, being in Greek or Latin meaning mega lizard. Fossils are found in Europe in the mid-Jurassic, around I'd say 160 million years ago, and of course it's a carnivore. Now, with Megalosaurus, when it was discovered in the 1800s, and pretty much British scientists didn't even know what this thing was. They actually kind of thought it, because basically the discovery was basically this lower jaw that was discovered. And it had a tooth sticking out, but basically they didn't even know what to make of it. They actually thought that it might be a lizard, it might be kind of a large lizard. And so that's why in Crystal Palace Park, when you actually look at the Megalosaurus that is actually kind of perceived by scientists and the public during that time, was pretty much that they thought it was an amphibious type of predator. And it was on 4 legs, so pretty much they thought it was a giant lizard. But when it came down to pretty much looking at some of the new North American fossils that were actually being found during the time of the Bone Wars of Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope, they saw they were making really significant discoveries with large carnivorous dinosaurs, and pretty much they looked at how the anatomy has actually been portrayed to some of these carnivorous dinosaurs, and they see that the forelimbs in these carnivorous dinosaurs did really not have really long forelimbs. So pretty much they were short forelimbs, and they had long hind limbs, so pretty much they were bipedal predators. And that's when the idea of Megalosaurus actually started to become of a basically bipedal predator. Now, I don't even remember what the prey species that were around during this time. It wasn't iguanodon, we know that for sure. And so, Megalosaurus kind of actually is the what you would say prototype of what the large carnivorous dinosaurs would actually become, and that would actually kind of show what the large carnivorous dinosaurs would actually kind of be. Now, the Megalosaurs pretty much actually kind of started to evolve into as they actually kept going into the Jurassic, but when they get into the Cretaceous, that's when things started to change. Megalosaurs actually branched off basically into 2 different ways. One way is basically kind of actually starting to get bigger and bigger, which is pretty much starting to become more like the Carcharodontosaurs, or otherwise the Abilisaurs. Pretty much, I think Megalosaurs would actually kind of pretty interesting of what their anatomy. But also another branch actually started to go with the Spinosaurs, and so if you kind of think of it, the Megalosaurs, once they branched down to 2 different kinds of large carnivorous dinosaur families, they actually went to different ways. One would actually prey on large herbivorous dinosaurs, and the others would actually be eating fish. And so Megalosaurus, pretty much after it went extinct, there's basically its lineage actually becomes like you strip the spondylus, and all those kinds of dinosaurs, but basically they were kind of small compared to what Megalosaurus actually was. So Megalosaurus was pretty much almost the largest type of species. But there's Megalosaurus, but a lot of people say that like Torvosaurus and Saurophaganax were probably megalosaurids, and they actually were in North America in this time. Now keep in mind, in the Middle Jurassic, Eurasia and North America were still connected. It's just basically animals migrated between North America and Europe, and so that kind of sets the tone of where some of these megalosaurs actually stayed, and pretty much where they kind of evolved. I think with the North American ones, they actually started getting bigger and bigger. In Europe, they actually kind of starting to get smaller. It's because Europe at this time was starting to get flooded by the seaways, and pretty much when rising seaways actually happen, you start to have isolated islands, and pretty much dinosaurs actually have a really hard time. Large dinosaurs have a hard time living in small areas, and that's why you need to shrink down your size in order to actually survive in the smaller environment. And then so in one megalosaur in particular, Eustreptospondylus, is well famous in the Walking with Dinosaurs episode Cruel Sea. Now with Megalosaurus, it is very robust. It is a robust type of dinosaur, probably heavily built. I would say its speed would probably maybe between 15 to 20, probably 20 miles an hour, I would say. And it would probably prey on prosauropods, some of the early sauropods, and so those types of dinosaurs would actually be very common prey for Megalosaurus. And of course, extinction with Megalosaurus probably didn't actually survive climate changes, and that's pretty much how that happens. Because when you get into the late Jurassic was actually kind of actually gotten a little bit cooler than the Triassic, but basically it's because there's more air. It's because pretty much forests were actually being developed, and pretty much Megalosaurus is more used to open areas, and that's why when you actually condense your living space, then you're not going to survive. You're not going to survive very long. So pretty much it couldn't actually adapt to like a heavily forested environment, and I think that Megalosaurus was so used to the open plains, it probably didn't actually survive very long. And also the prey species changed. The prey species always change. It's because the prey species were getting larger, and actually were too tough for Megalosaurus to take down. So pretty much climate change is pretty much is always the catalyst, is always the number one reason why some animals go extinct. Alright, that's it for now. Now, next week will actually be an answering questions episode. So if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com. And also, you can actually go on the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comment section on any Facebook post. Remember, keep your questions short and to the point. And also, you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page, and I post pretty cool stuff there. And also take care of the people around you. And also for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. So it's the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education, because with a good education, you get a good job in the future. And since it's Halloween, wearing one of my favorite spooky dinosaur shirts with basically the Sue long sleeve t-shirt. And I think this t-shirt is so cool. And it's considering that it's black, and it shows a really creepy image of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. But wherever you kids are for Halloween, have a safe trick-or-treating, and also let no ghosts or goblins or vampires actually come and get you. But basically, I don't think they exist. But hey, always. But I mean, if there's a friendly ghost, say hello. You know. But everybody have a safe Halloween, and I'll see you guys next week.